All right, welcome to Lav-Living. Again, you're sitting on the couch talking with dietitian V. Hit that like button before we proceed. Today we're talking about that intra-abdominal fat and PCOS. We did a session for men, but today we're talking about women and changes in the body that follows difficult hormones coming across because of the weight, or vice versa. By now you know that there is an intertwined relationship, a hand-in-glove relationship between an excess weight gain and hormones, or between hormones and an excess weight gain. It can go either or, and it can just be a traffic like that, to and fro on either end of the conversation. So today we are talking about females. You remember we discussed the issue of a healthy weight and what that is. By now I know that you are familiar with understanding that a healthy weight is not thin, a healthy weight is not thick. A healthy weight is where the composition of your body is sitting well. By then we're talking your bone weight, your organs with the internal organs weight, the fluid in your body, the body fat percentage that you have. That's what a healthy weight is. So we're talking about the makeup of that weight, and some of the easiest things that you can also do to know how, or just to screen out the makeup of your weight, is just to look at the circumference of your waist, your what is called the waist circumference. Now, as a female, you know that as a woman, we go through a lot in life. You are sweet 16 when you're sweet 16, and you don't gain the weight, and then you come to the 20s. Some people start to have children there. So let's just say the childbearing ages. So in the childbearing years, you find that with every pregnancy and every child that you pop, you gain the weight. As you get the bambinos, you also get the weight. And it's beautiful to have the bambinos. You can have lots of bambinos. I love the bambinos. But you know that as you get the pregnancy, you also get some excess weight. Luckily, nature provides that as you do other things like breastfeeding, you shrink back to your original weight and things like that. But those are just natural processes of life. You get to your 30s, you start to look more like umuntu wesimama, you know, and in a celebratory kind of way. You've got beautiful hips, beautiful calves, you are full all-rounder and all that. But you get to the 40s, oh, Jesus, everything starts to look a bit different. You start to notice that you've got a belly that is sitting. So, you know, when people kind of like get into those ages where sometimes if you don't know if a person is male or female, because now the body tends to shift and kind of like look the same. The reason being the hormone and the hormone profile has changed. So you get like a stubborn belly under the boobs, or, you know, like you get to ages like some even in the 50s, or when women get to the menopausal ages, you find that as you grow older as a woman, you tend to have ishwapa. Again, I don't have an English word for that word. Ishwapa, and then the belly forms in front. So you know what that is. I don't have an English word to explain. When the bumps kind of tuck in. Yeah, I think when they tuck in and they're deeper. So these are things that kind of like follow. The boys are laughing around me. They tend to come in. It's just the reality of the body, because the hormones are changing. But today we're talking something quite different. We're not necessarily talking about those things that are changing with hormones in the body. We're looking at PCOS and infertility, and how your weight also affect your PCOS, the hormones and things like that. So what PCOS is a condition that tends to follow women. Often it's because of insulin resistance, or in a street term, we're looking at someone can be battling excess body weight or excess body fat, intra-abdominal body fat, as I've already explained, where you are putting a high amount of body fat on the inside of the abdomen. It might not necessarily show itself that much outside. So you find that even in thin women, you do get PCOS. But where is the fat seated? Viscerally. on the inside. You don't necessarily see it because some walk about, they don't even have like a visible umkabanyana and things like that. So PCOS is a situation in the body where the ovaries are not necessarily following the order, the natural order, because you know that as a woman you are supposed to ovulate, you are supposed to have your menstruations and things like that. So with PCOS, these things, they don't necessarily happen in that order. The eggs or the ovaries of a female tend to struggle to produce hormones, or they tend to struggle to follow the normal order of things, where they have to go through a cycle of ovulation and release an egg for fertilization. It's not fertilized and then followed by menses. That normal process of a female's body. And when I say female's body, I mean females. Now, because the ovaries are not producing those hormones and things like that, why are you laughing, boys? So now, because that natural part is actually not happening. Sometimes with excess body fat or where there is insulin resistance, what happens is that, like, remember when I said this internal body fat or this internal intra-abdominal fat, it also becomes an organ on its own, like a female machinery organ. It produces lots of hormones, and it sends hormones that are antagonistic to many naturally produced hormones in the body. So one of the things that intra-abdominal fat does is to make you to have insulin resistance. So it makes your own insulin to struggle to function. And it also affects your ovaries, your eggs. So you find that with this extra intra-abdominal fat, your eggs are kind of like suppressed. So they struggle to go through the process where they must produce the female hormones, mature the ovaries, mature the egg, and go through the ovulation and things like that. So now that there is like a problem with your hormone production right there and then, the ovaries, you find that they get smaller because they are now not going through that process. They produce things that are looking small, making fluid, like cysts kind of a situation. So these kind of like cyst ovaries, they start to make male-like hormones. So they make the androgens. So these are like looking like male. So you are living in a body that is now making a lot more male hormones than your natural body as a female should have. Remember when I explained to the males that we have male hormones and female hormones in our bodies? We have them in different ratios depending if we are males or females. So that being said, now in a state of PCOS, you find that a person is now not experiencing the maturity. So those things, that the ovaries that became smaller and they did not mature and things like that, so they start to produce male-like hormones. We call them androgens. When they make those, you start to experience different things. You start to experience that your menstruation is not regular. And you know that your menstruation is not regular, you are not on contraceptive. It's just that it comes sometimes and then it disappears. You don't know if it's coming, it becomes so irregular. Another thing that is very, very common with PCOS is the presentation of hirsutism, or male hair distribution type of a thing, where you find that usisi is developing male chest hair, or you know that hair that develops on the belly. Like for men, after mukuba find what develop more you know. So females also tend to develop that kind of male hair on their belly with hirsutism, and it also starts to see like hair, you know, like beard kind of situation that forms. It is because of the androgens are high. You also tend to see that in menopausal women, those hair the facial hair that tends to form is because the androgen hormones are also picking up. And you might also experience a male type alopecia, or a male type thinning of the hair. Like actually, you know that men usually, as they grow older, they bald. These are hormonal things that actually happens to us, bazalwane. So don't be frustrated. So you find that men tends to bald, like they lose hair from here It's mpandana, man. Lefatla, you know, it's got the N1 on the pop. So, and these things should not be troubling you. It's just that the body is aging and hormones are looking different. So you know that when you are young, you have a hair, it's full if you're a brother, but at a certain age, it all disappears, and in a particular way, high way for me. So even for females, when the androgens are high, you might notice the same thing that, like, you know, you find that here, then bandana that is forming, it's because the androgens are giving you problems at that point. So these are some of the things that a female can actually experience. And of course, the body shape with higher androgens for females, it also tends to shape. Like, remember when I was explaining that, you might notice that you are starting to gain the belly shape, the belly fat, similar to the way men gain the body, the belly fat. I get you know that the male body and the female body are completely different. God created them to be very, 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 absolutely different. You can't even if you try to recreate it, you can never get what God has created. So typically, male tends to gain weight on the abdomen. That's where the larger part of their body fat cells are. Females typically will gain weight on the bumps, the thighs, and the boobies. That's where the female body's fat cells are seated. So when a female gains weight, naturally, you are going to put that weight on your thighs, on your bumps, on your calves. That's how nature is. But with PCOS, you might start to gain weight in the pattern that males gain weight. The belly starts to protrude in front of you, and then the bumps kind of do that thing that we don't like as women. Enza is sharp, it's ipe and ibegati, you know, like I'm a bye-bye bumps. My mom will say, bye-bye bump. That kind of, when the butt cheeks tighten and they, So these are the things that are also, we don't like them, and it's the hormones that actually do a lot of those. So, and then you might also start to notice that there's just changes on your skin as a female with PCOS. You might notice that your skin kind of like gets hard, like the way men's skin is, you know, the texture of that skin kind of like tightens. These are hormonal things again. So supposing you have a sister or a mother or a child, a daughter that is experiencing this thing, or supposing you yourself are experiencing these things, don't choke yourself at home alone. Do seek medical advice, do seek medical attention. Generally, when you go to the doctor or the gynecologist or your general doctors, your GPs, or your clinic nurse, and often they will do you tests that are done to investigate if you have PCOS or not. And remember that much of the biggest reason for PCOS, much of the time, it's metabolic. It's that insulin resistance, excess weight gain, or rather the intra-abdominal fat. But all in all, in short, we can put it under the umbrella of insulin resistance. We will talk about insulin resistance on our next video, because that one covers all of us, males, females, children, and old people alike. So now, if you're looking at what is it that you're going to do as a female, when you have that condition, like as I said, seek medical attention. There will be blood tests that are normally done to see if your hormone profile is sitting well or not. And after all that is done, quite often you will be referred to see a dietitian to work around your diet to see if you can do something to reduce your insulin resistance. So let me just give you a few tips of what you can do in your diet to reduce the insulin resistance, things that you can actually do at home. By now I know you know our cinnamon for a lot of things that it does. The cinnamon tea, for a lot of things that it does for your insulin resistance, for reducing belly fat, assisting in that. By now you know that's one of the easiest things that you are going to do. Look at overall that your diet has got very, very low sugar. I cannot stress this enough. People consume a very high amount of sugar in their everyday food. I mean, I'm still shocked. Sometimes people I'll tell you one story that was so fun, even when we talk about sugar. There was a patient that came to see me, and I asked her, so tell me, how much sugar do you take? And her response was very classic. She says, oh, me, just a little. I don't take much, doctor. I only take 3 spoons of sugar. So first I was thinking, no, she means 3 teaspoons. And I'm thinking, but 3 teaspoons is still a lot. But then I said, okay, now show me how you put the spoons of sugar. And she pulls up a tablespoon. I'm like, Aibo, did you say you don't eat much sugar? And that was like a tablespoon, lilepula. Like lilepula. And that was 3 malepula, tswikiri. I found myself scratching my head thinking, how is 3 malepula not even much? That was like 3 malepula. So I laughed, she laughed, we both laughed, and I was not judging her, but I wanted her to understand that she cannot be perceiving her hoja malepula my 3 aswikiri. That's not it now. That's not a lot. So I cannot stress this enough. Please cut off your sugar intake. You find sugar in different things. When you have that soda, that is sugar. When we say sugar in the diet, we're not just referring the sugar you put in your tea. Your soda is sugar. That brand that you like when you eat food, the fact that you eat food and you feel like you have not done enough until you have a soda next to your food, there should not be soda together with your food. Even if the companies advertise and they show you a happy family with a meal and a 2-liter bottle of soda, that is what will kill you. But you make your choice and you make your decision, cut off the sugar. And the first places you can go for, you can look at, it's the sodas, it's the sugars you pair with meal. I don't know who made it normal that when you eat, there has to be sugar with your meal. It is not normal to have a meal with sugar. It's not normal to have a meal with juice. It's not normal to have a meal with soda. And now you even want to go to the extent of drinking water with sugar in it, like flavored water. And God, Jesus, cut off that sugar. Don't make it normal. Make it normal to have meals with water. And when you are done, if you must have something a bit sweet later, you can take that drink, dilute it with water if you must, and then have a small amount of it. That should also be occasionally. It should not be something that you do on a regular basis. It should be occasional. You don't need anyone to chase you with a gun to remind you that unlearn the habit of having a plate of food with sugar. This is a very simple thing. It's not hard, it's not difficult. In your tea, in your coffee, you can actually teach yourself to decongest the amount of sugar you put in your tea. You can't put a tablespoon of sugar in your tea. I see komasong, like, when you go to funerals and black people's events, you do funerals, tombstones and whatever not. And then as you're doing it, you are peeling, and as you're peeling, hey, if you observe what happens there, trouble with sugar. You find that people that are going to put a lot of sugar, I observe, and we know that Umama is going to put a lot of sugar. She's going to start a conversation so that nobody looks at how much sugar goes into the cup of tea. So just be alert even when you do that. Cut off the sugar. Pick up a good exercise. I know that we work long hours. We have to work, unfortunately. We work long hours, we get tired, or we are student and things like that. But if there's one thing that I learned, the biggest investment you can make into your life is that good exercise. Even if, like, we are called stupu, sakolona, stupu, I don't know how to put it, at the porch, in your front porch, there's like always that stupunyana thing. You can jump up and down on that porch, 20 minutes a day, up and down on that porch. And then you're done, you shower, you go back to bed. These kind of exercises, they mobilize the body. Otherwise, just do walks, do walks, normalize walking. And I know that we live in places sometimes where it may not be safe to walk, but walk in groups, if you can. Walk early in the day, walk in groups, whether you are a group of friends, but try to walk it in a safe kind of a net, or where there are community parks, walking groups and things like that. Pick up that activity. So I enjoyed being with you as we talked about PCOS and how it affects your fertility. See your doctor about that. I really enjoyed talking to you. Find a dietitian, work around your way of eating, especially if you need a special diet plan wherever you are. And it was good to spend time with you. Like that video, pressing that subscribe button. Until we meet next time, I love you. Bye.